Man vs. Machine is... I mean, it's fun, but it's kinda stale? Like, okay, listen, I enjoy smashing bots, not like that. It's a fun distraction from the regular game of TF2, which is so perfectly balanced that it can sometimes feel like you aren't really doing anything when you're having just a slightly off day. Like, yeah, I could go get several godlike kill streaks in a game of 2 Fort, but is that really gonna put me in a better mood when a customer at my retail job just called me smelly and I've been thinking about it all day? So, MVM is a good way to unwind from a bad day of TF2. By giving you tons of money to upgrade yourself and getting kill streaks, many people couldn't even dream of getting in a regular game of TF2. The only problem is, I myself, alongside many others I'm sure, are pretty tired of 2 cities. So I decided to not only go on to play every single TF2 Man vs. Machine mission for a video, but I also decided it would be a good idea to make that video into a sort of showcase and tips and tricks video. As such, I will be both talking about my opinion on a map during a given section, as well as talking about my advice on each wave in a sort of tutorial section. I'll be starting with Operation Oil Spill, the very first tour in the game, and I will be going over each tour as they appear in the menu before ending with all the bootcamp exclusive missions, because yes, there are some exclusive missions to bootcamp besides Nightmare Wave 666. Also of note, bootcamp is a totally free version of every single mission in MVM. So, if you want to play any of these missions or just don't want to pay money for tours, don't worry, you can actually get the same experience for free from bootcamp. Anyways, so I think that's it for the preface. So, let's get to work. Operation Oil Spill is the very first set of missions in MVM's Man Up mode. Taking place across 6 missions with the difficulty of Intermediate, it is by far the easiest tour to complete, and as such, does offer the weakest rewards. If you choose to play Man Up on Oil Spill, you will always get a Rust Bot killer weapon, with a chance of getting a Blood Bot killer weapon, neither of which are actually worth that much, especially compared to better tours. The mission lineup is comprised of 6 missions in 3 maps: Coal Town, Decoy, and Manworks, which are some of the oldest maps in MVM. Starting things with Cave-In, this is a map with 6 waves, and while it starts off somewhat simple, it quickly gets more complicated very quickly. Starting on wave 1, you get 400 credits, which isn't much to work with, but believe me, you will end up getting a lot more credits as the game progresses. Definitely get a single good upgrade for yourself, and if you want resistances, bullet resistance is a good for this first wave. Wave 1 has 30 scouts, 38 Sandman scouts, and 20 heavies. Not very much to worry about, but be warned because the amount of bullets can be a tad bit overwhelming.
Alright, if you lose this, I'm gonna switch to meta right away.
Oh, okay.
No, I'm kind of joking, but at the same time, oh, Huntsman Sniper, isn't it?
Yes.
I knew it.
As for the wave itself, it's a lot of bullets and fast scouts. As long as you have somewhat good crowd control, you should be good, and like I said previously, if you need resistances for whatever reason, take bullet resistance, since you will resist basically everything.
Well done.
Alright.
Oh, there's a lot of money over here.
Our scout missed
$122. Oh, he left though.
Oh.
Upon beating the wave, you will have access to 600 credits by default, with bonuses giving you either 50 or 100 credits, for a maximum of 700 credits. From here on, I will assume you will be getting all of the credits, so I will be factoring in the bonus as well. And if I remembered correctly, on screen I will show you the breakdown of how many credits you need for each bonus, and how much it gives you. Wave 2 will have you facing 3 giant Islanders, 1 tank, Huntsman Snipers, Sandman Scouts, and 3 quick fix medics. It's a pretty simple wave for anyone who isn't a super close range class. If you are a close range class, just be careful because there's no melee resistance.
Hey, at least it's not the fucking engineer from the other day.
Oh no.
Okay.
Go to bed.
Let me show you a screenshot from my game because
Oh yeah, I should be recording right. Yeah.
Yeah, MK remembers this, I'm sure. We had the most cursed engineer you will ever find in Man vs. Machine. This is where he set up all of his buildings on Manhattan.
What the fuck?
Yes.
As for the wave itself, it starts with Huntsman snipers, and will quickly throw in the Islander demos with quick fix medics. Deal with the medics and maintain a solid and good range from the demos, and you will be just fine. When it comes to the tank, I will give some pretty general advice. Heavy is not a good tank buster, but he can absolutely help out with destroying the tank, especially with crits canteens. And as for the best tank buster, Pyro is extremely strong against tanks, especially with the double damage technique where you aim up at the box part of the tank to cause your flamethrower to deal double damage. As well as that, Bushwhacker with the Cleaner's Carbine is a strong support, and if you have attack speed on your melee, it can even be a great DPS for tanks. And finally, explosive classes are great support since the downtime between barrages can be a bit long, but the damage they deal is pretty dang strong. Completing the wave will award you with 900 total credits. The game does give you a lot of credits here and will allow you to really start getting some good upgrades, making the next few waves a breeze. Wave 3 has 2 rapid fire soldiers, conch soldiers, quick fix medics, and support from sniper bots. So getting a combination of bullet and blast resistance can be really strong for people who need it. When you get into the actual wave, the soldier medic combos can be a bit overwhelming for some newer players, but as long as you have some good crowd control, you should be fine.
How tanky is this fucking quad?
Oh no! It doesn't work! You can't stun when they're in the middle of their animation!
As for the giant soldiers, great single target DPS is obviously really strong, but also survivability against their constant firing of rockets is also a great help. And you need to deal with their large amounts of medics immediately, but at least they're quick fix, so you don't have to worry about popping them.
I'm trying to air blast. I'm stuck in it.
Oh god, I should have moved. My left hand was filled with American tea, also known as beer.
Completing the wave awards you with up to 800 credits, letting you get a decent amount of upgrades.
Heavy's pretty meta.
Yeah. Unless you go boxing heavy.
You know what's meta? That's a terrible idea. I'm not gonna go. Okay.
This wave is comprised of 3 tanks, Sandman scouts, and regular scouts. Not a difficult wave by any means, as long as you have good tank busting DPS. Not much advice for this wave, deal with the tanks as soon as possible, but keep an eye out on the scouts since they can easily sneak bombs behind you if you aren't dealing with them.
But also, I don't really care. Alright, I'm a push this!
I need to kill one of these scouts so I have crits. There we go.
This wave gives you up to 800 more credits. Not that you'll really be needing. This wave gives you up to 800 more credits. Not that you'll really be needing them anymore.
I'm sticking with this, honestly. I like this. This is funny.
The next wave is made up of 20 boxing heavies, 36 uber medics, 16 fast boxing heavies, and 30 Sandman scouts.
Oh no.
Look like Guns and Ganji boys.
They are all melee enemies. And
Yes.
there's no melee resistance.
Precisely. Okay, Libra, where do you want me to put dispenser?
You just end up with
There's
demos
a slight
of like.
issue here. I would love to have your dispenser, but
Fist steel.
All you gotta do is deal with the uber medics before the main boxing heavies, and just keep an eye on any scouts in case they pick up the bomb. Beating the wave gives you 1100 credits. By now, if you didn't have enough credits for maxing out your upgrades, I don't think you've been getting money this whole game.
I'm starting to feel the effects of the alcohol on my brain. It's making me stupid. I can't have that.
The final wave is a bit of a doozy. 6 flare gun giants, 2 tanks, 2 rapid fire soldiers, heavies, pyros, boxing heavies, fast boxing heavies, 2 quick fix medics, and flare gun pyros. A lot of different enemy types, but it's honestly not too bad to deal with because of how much money you have. The wave starts with the flare gun pyros. They shouldn't be hard to deal with, but afterburn combined with projectiles can be a bit scary for anyone without resistances at a range. The next big thing to arrive are the tanks. Just deal as much damage as possible, but remember there are other bots on their way, including giant rapid fire soldiers. Deal with the tanks quickly and you can get the other bots no problem. When the second tank shows up, there will be 2 giant flare gun pyros with quick fix medics. Same as usual, medics, then pyro, and once they're out of the way, just deal with the tank, and you should be fine. Overall, starting things off, this is not a bad map at all, especially for intermediate difficulty as we'll see in the future. A bit easy for anyone at a range, and especially for anyone with any semblance of crowd control, but it is legitimately a fun and interesting mission, even if it's a bit easy. The second mission of today is Day of Reckoning, our first mission on Decoy, a legitimately fun MVM map that I'd go so far as to say is my personal favorite. This mission has 6 waves and starts off with giants and continues to get more difficult, but stick to some of the advice I give out here and you should be fine. Wave 1 starts you off facing 1 giant Islander, 1 giant demo, Islanders, Huntsman snipers, and quick fix medics. You only get 400 credits once again, so spend those credits wisely, but do remember ranged classes heavily benefit in this environment due to the amount of close-range bots there are. The wave starts with a bunch of Islanders and Huntsman snipers. Just keep shooting them and you should be fine. Also remember that the Huntsman is technically a bullet, so bullet resistance can resist them if you are having trouble with survivability. After them, the giant Islander will appear with quick fix medics. Shoot the medics, then the Islander. Shortly after, there will be a regular giant demo with a single quick fix medics. Beating the final group will win the wave, giving you up to 700 credits. Wave 2 has 1 tank with fast boxing heavy supports. Shoot the tank and absolutely destroy it and you will win the wave super quickly, giving you upwards of 700 credits to spend on the next wave. Wave 3 will face you against 3 giant rapid fire soldiers, conch soldiers, Islanders, quick fix medics, and support from spies. The giant soldiers all have multiple quick fix medics. They do tend to be the most dangerous force this wave, so dealing with them should be your priority unless there are spies.
Dude, infinite health with the conch. This is amazing. Oh.
Beating the wave gives you up to 700 credits. As long as you've been picking up credits, you should be around halfway point of upgrade. Wave 4 has 5 giant pyros and 10 super scouts.
Hey, MK, did you know if you press F4 you get free unusual?
The pyros are really easy to deal with, just remember that medic shields cannot block fire, and if you are at close range, these things can destroy you if you don't have resistances. Super scouts, on the other hand, are super fast and require your full attention. There's a few ways to help manage their speeds though. Anything that slows down enemies, such as Rocket Specialist direct hits, Spy Sapper, Mad Milk slow, Girardi slow, even a Natasha heavy can be good. But I really wouldn't recommend using it because the Natasha isn't that good of a weapon in MVM. Another thing is actually Air Blast on Pyro, because this is a common technique I will bring up multiple times on this map specifically. If you upgrade your Air Blast force, you can actually knock the enemy way off course. Like, they have to go all the way around this entire roundabout way just to reach the point one more time, and then you could just Air Blast them again. Like, it's a good way to stall for time. Just remember, aiming down for whatever reason with the Air Blast launches enemies straight up. Beating the wave grants up to 900 credits. If you didn't have all the upgrades you wanted, well, you do now. Wave 5 is a bunch of small enemies, scouts, sandman scouts, and heavies.
Come on, robots can't be that hard, surely.
Oh yeah, no, they can be pretty difficult. That's why I use the Maker's Bazooka. I use it as a crutch.
Base.
Never heard anyone call the beggars a crutch before.
Good crowd control wins the game here, giving you up to 1,300 credits. Spend them however you will. This final wave is honestly really easy with how many credits you get. Being made up of 2 tanks, steel gauntlet heavies, fast boxing heavies, heavy bots, and conch soldiers. Seriously, all the small enemies start off the wave, and by the time the tanks show up, you can easily deal with them as long as everyone focuses on damaging the tanks. Plus, with the amount of upgrades you have, these things are going down, like, immediately.
Which people can't be cute, that's not allowed.
No, he did like geology or something for his company.
Now that sounds British.
Dude, rocks, am I right?
Soil samples, I can't wait to stick my long implement into the earth. What would you do if you were on like a geology like sampling mission and like a guy got like way too into like sticking the coring thing into the ground?
How I would feel about how I do being in this sub.
Ah, I see. It's only gonna get worse now that I'm here.
Listen, the more people who get in here, the worse it's gonna get. The quarantine
Oh,
happens
yeah.
as soon as someone...
Well, now I have a new goal.
It's basically just a freebie final wave, honestly. This mission is pretty simple. It starts off pretty tough, but quickly becomes quite easy due to the amount of credits and melee bots there are. As long as your team can deal with these things like tanks and the occasional giant, you should be fine. And personally, I think this mission is fun, but again, way too easy. Doe's Doom is the second map of the tour on Decoy, a 7-wave mission that is honestly even easier than the previous one. Starting on wave 1, you get 400 credits to spend, which is plenty for this first round, which is made up of a single giant soldier, scouts, and pyros. My advice for this wave is to have good crowd control for the hordes of small bots and lots of single target DPS for the one giant heavy. Though, to be fair, a single heavy will usually be enough to deal with the giant. Beating the wave gives you up to 900 credits, and considering the next wave, that's plenty to start a snowball into victory. Wave 2 is made up of 1 tank, 1 super scout, demos, and heavies. As long as you have good crowd control, destroy the tank that appears at the start of the wave, and be able to burst down the single super scout, you should be perfectly fine, getting up to 925 credits. An odd number, sure, but again, a lot of money for the next wave. Wave 3 has Sandman scouts, Huntsman scouts. Huntsman scouts? Why did I put that in there? Huntsman snipers, soldiers, pyros, and spy support, making this a really easy round if you have good crowd control, and completing the wave awards you with 1100 credits, placing you at mid to max upgrade status on your primary upgrades. Wave 4 may seem kinda scary at first. Giant charge soldier, 2 flaming heavies, steel gauntlet, pusher pyros, backup soldiers, and islanders, but believe me, as long as you've been getting money and upgrading, this is, again, a supremely easy mission. Just shoot the big guys and let crowd controllers deal with the groups of small enemies. It should be easy enough and gives you about 700 credits to work with. Wave 5 has 2 rapid-fire soldiers, pyros, soldiers, quick-fix medics, scouts, Sandman scouts, and support from snipers. Refer to the previous few waves for advice. You get 1100 more credits this round, meaning, yeah, you have a lot of money to work with. Wave 6 has scouts, heavies, demos, and support from both snipers and spies. Crowd control. You get 850 credits total this wave. The final wave has 2 tanks, 2 giant heavies, fast boxing heavies, quick fix medics, and support from scouts and spies. Tanks first, the giant heavies have medics, but with the sheer amount of upgrades you have, you should be able to beat this mission super easily now. My thoughts on this mission are that it's so easy due to the amount of money you get alongside how easy the groups are to deal with that it's not exactly that fun to play. Sure, you get lots of money, but there's no real challenge to it, so those upgrades seem kind of pointless, all things considered. Mannhunt is our first mission on Manworks and has 6 waves in total. It's also the map where I feel it's important to note that you should absolutely keep an eye on the direction the bots are going in, since setting up on the wrong side of the map can be devastating on this map in particular. You start wave 1 with 400 credits, while fighting against flare pyros, quick fix medics, pyros, scouts, and Sandman scouts. As long as you have good crowd control, you should be fine this wave, and you end up getting 900 credits for the wave.
I sapped him.
Wave 2 has 2 giant demos, flare pyros, quick fix medics, and sniper support. The medics are on the demos. And be careful, since if the demos miss their shots, they still have rollers that can deal good damage, if you don't have resistances, that is. Beating the wave grants about 900 credits again. And considering the next wave, it's pretty easy, all things considered. Wave 3 has 10 Super Scouts and 1 tank. As mentioned before, keep an eye on the direction the enemies will be traveling in via the arrows that appear before the round. As long as you set up in the path, the Super Scouts shouldn't be much of an issue. And as long as everyone focuses on the tank, it'll be pretty easy as well. This wave gives another 900 credits. By now, you should have things either mostly, if not completely, upgraded.
Okay, are you playing regular sniper?
Yeah, definitely.
I'm gonna come up and I'm gonna see the fucking huntsman. I'm gonna start laughing. I'm gonna fucking arrest you.
Oh god!
Wave 4 has 1 giant demo, 1 giant rapid fire soldier, Sandman scouts, regular scouts, conch soldiers, flare pyros, and quick fix medics. Crowd control is your best friend, and remember, while the giant soldier can be somewhat threatening, the giant demo is more dangerous simply due to the rollers. They both can be dangerous, but my advice is to shoot them on, honestly, like that's the best strategy I have.
I'm noticing that Spy is actually more like a— Oh my god, that was a Sentry Buster!
Winning the wave grants another 900 credits. Not that you'll need that much money this next round, because the next round is 3 Super Scouts, 1 tank, boxing heavies, pyros, and sniper supports. As long as you have good crowd control and keep the direction the bots are going in mind, and remember to focus tank, which is the last thing in this wave. Things should be really easy. The final wave is made up of 2 giant heavies, 5 tanks, 2 giant rapid fire soldiers, Sandman scouts, regular scouts, conch soldiers, and quick fix medics. If you don't have a good tank DPS, remember, Pyro is godly at tank DPS, especially with the double DPS tank. So if the team doesn't have a lot of good tank busters, pyro it up. Flog if you want free crits to boost your overall damage output. The tanks are the hardest part of the wave. As long as you can bust them down when they spawn, the rest of the wave should be pretty easy. So, another easy mission with lots of money. Personally, I'd say this one is pretty good though, since at least the final wave is a bit harder than prior missions. It's a good mission, only at the end though. And I can definitely see newer players having issues with the 5 tanks, though I did have fun. Mean Machines is the second and final mission on Manworks, for oil spill at least, and once again, starts you with 400 credits on a 6-wave mission. The first wave has 8 steel gauntlets and 48 pyros. Easy enough, crowd control is your friend, and keep in mind steel gauntlets have more range damage reduction, though I wouldn't recommend meleeing them since they still hit like a truck. Beating the wave grants 700 credits. Wave 2 has 3 giant pyros, demos, pyros, scouts, and sniper bot support. Again, crowd control and be careful of the giant pyros since they can deal a lot of damage to close range classes. Beating this wave grants 900 credits. Wave 3 has 1 tank, heavies, islanders, and huntsman snipers. This should be easy as long as you have someone for crowd control and everyone else focuses on the tank. The wave should be pretty easy, giving you 850 credits to work with. Wave 4 has 3 giant baseball scouts, 1 rapid fire soldier, boxing heavies, and sniper support. The baseball scouts can be rather quick. That, combined with the fact they can slow down speedy players, means that they can be a minor threat, but they aren't too bad as long as you burst them down. This wave gives you 800 credits. By now, you should absolutely be either fully upgraded or at least pretty darn close to it. Wave 5 has 2 tanks, 3 giant demos, quick fix medics, scouts, and pyros. If you don't have good tank DPS, now is the time to get it since it can be rather important for this wave especially. But beating the tanks almost certainly ensures your victory over the rest of the wave, granting upwards of 1,050 credits. The final wave is, once again, really quite easy. You have 1 giant heavy, 7 giant soldiers, 2 giant rapid fire soldiers, pyros, heavies, and supports from scouts and spies. Focus on DPS here. The giants like to come in big clusters this wave, meaning heavies with projectile penetration are heavily rewarded, especially if you get Chris canteens at the start of the wave. As well, resistances can also be really useful if you don't have a medic. If you can beat the first wave of giants easily enough, you should be able to deal with the rest of the wave with ease, completing the mission in the process. This is an exceedingly easy map, and is only slightly challenging near the end of the mission, when you get what is basically a DPS check. It also gives you a lot of money to work with, which contributes to it being so easy. Overall, decent, but I'd say it's a middle of the road in terms of intermediate missions so far. The final mission of Operation Oil Spill takes place on Coal Town once again and has 6 waves. You start with 400 credits again and will face 1 tank, scouts, and pyros on wave 1. As long as you have a good tank buster, this should be easy enough for a first wave. But also having crowd control helps immensely due to the scouts being able to get out of hand rather easily, as scouts do. You get up to 800 credits for beating this wave, giving you a lot of money once again for what amounts to a pretty simple wave. Wave 2 has steel gauntlets, heavies, scouts, and spy bots as support. It's pretty easy as long as you have good crowd DPS, but keep an eye on the spies since they tend to be rather dangerous if you're tunnel visioned. Beat this wave and you get 750 credits, which you will definitely need for the next wave. Wave 3 has 3 charged soldiers, boxing heavies, quick fix medics, demos, soldiers, and sniper support. As long as you have good DPS against the giants and good AoE damage for the crowds, this should be pretty easy. Just be careful since the giants do have crits as well as blast damage, which can be pretty dang dangerous in an early wave like this. Beat the giants and it should be pretty easy in all honesty. Beating this wave grants you 1,000 credits, though to be fair, the next wave is much easier than the last one. Wave 4 has 3 giant heavies, pyros, flare pyros, demos, quick fix medics, and spies for support. Again, deal with the giants, have someone for the crowds, and keep an eye and ear out for the spies. Beating this wave gives your team 750 credits, so you should be getting close to max upgrades. Wave 5 has a tank, 2 rapid-fire soldiers, heavies, islanders, and snipers for support. Tank DPS is important, but remember to deal with the giants and the crowds. This wave requires a bit of multitasking, but should be pretty easy. The wave will give you 1,100 credits in total, plenty for the final wave of the mission. The final wave of the mission and of the tour pits you against 2 super scouts, 3 giant demos, 1 tank, buff soldiers, scouts, and quick fix medics. The buff soldiers do double the DPS of nearby allies, and the super scouts can be dangerous if your single target DPS isn't up to snuff. But as long as you've been getting money, the wave should be over quite easily. This is definitely more of an intermediate mission if you ask me. It has a good amount of variety in enemies, good combos that offer a good challenge. The only issue is the sheer amount of cash you get in a mission. And that is the end of Operation Oil Spill, the very first mission set in MVM. Overall, my thoughts are that it's just kinda meh, and really easy with a few exceptions in various ways. None of the missions are what I'd call difficult. In fact, they're all quite easy. Even if you aren't on top of your game, this tour can be highly forgiving. Now, I'm personally of the opinion that a good MVM mission should be able to balance both overpowered fun with the upgrades and good challenge to test decision-making in the bot variety. Unfortunately, there isn't too much bot variety, so it's more of just a bot killer's haven for fun. That being said, though, due to how fast bots tend to die, you may not even have fun destroying the bots because there's someone else on your team with better DPS, meaning that you just have to sit there and watch them kill everything instead. I'll say the tour is fine, but it's too easy. Not 100% enjoyable since it is so easy, but that's to be expected from the easiest tour in Man Up mode. Hey all, this is the end of the first episode in a small series I will be doing on every single MVM tour. If you're watching this, thank you for watching by the way. I will be uploading the other parts in a playlist in the future. Anyways, the next video will be up in about 2 weeks. I was originally recording this is actually future me. I was originally going to be uploading every single video like one day apart from one another, but I decided that I wanted to essentially try out having an ongoing upload schedule that would work with my current rate of making videos. So, Steel Trap will be in 2 weeks, and then 2 weeks after that we'll have Mecha Engine, and so on and so forth. If you enjoy the video so far, do give me a like and maybe even a subscription. I would very much appreciate it. I also plan on doing some other stuff in the middle of this, so if you are interested in that kind of content, which can be anything from more TF2 to, well, variety content, do stick around. I think you might be enjoying what's to come. Anyway, again, thank you all for watching, and I will see y'all in the next tour. Peace out, everybody.